When I first got into adventure motorcycles, batteries weren't something I gave much thought to, until they let me down. So after doing way too much research and putting one of the most recommended lithium batteries through some proper testing, I think I finally found the one. Today I'm going to show you what it is, how it installs on my Husqvarna Norden 901, and whether it's actually worth switching from a traditional lead-acid battery. I'm Nimrod, welcome to Ride with Nimrod. Let's jump into the studio. Also, a quick PSA, I recently managed to wreck my Insta360 X5 during a test ride event, and if you've ever looked up how much those cost, well yeah. So if you feel like supporting the channel, I've got Patreon, YouTube Super Thanks, Buy Me a Coffee all set up. No pressure, but every little bit helps me keep this thing going. Alright, so this here is the NOCO NLP14 motorcycle battery. I've been meaning to install this for a while now, but since the original battery on my Husqvarna Norden was still semi-alive, I figured I'd leave it on there for a while, but since I am leaving for a longer trip in a couple of days, I figured it's time to install the lithium battery, just because I don't want to get stranded somewhere on a mountain, right? Also, I've sort of promised as well to do this video as a follow-up to my original Husqvarna Norden 901 Expedition review. Make sure to check that video out after you check out this one if you haven't seen it. Now, I know that some people go for the NLP9 simply as that is the recommended battery for the motorcycle that I have. Probably for most motorcycles, it works perfectly fine, but since the NLP14 also fits into the battery tray of the motorcycle, I figured I'd give myself a bit of headroom. Also, because I am using the heated seat and the grips as mentioned before, those are really power hungry accessories and I really need the extra power. So even though the NLP9 is a pretty good choice, I think the NLP14 is the smart choice in this case. Also, lithium is generally recommended for adventure motorcycle riders simply as they hold a charge better and they don't discharge themselves. Also, they have a longer life, so this is pretty much why I went with the lithium battery as well. I've done a bunch of research on this. I've checked what most Husqvarna Norden users are buying as well. There are different lithium batteries out there, but I figured the NOCO is probably the best choice out there. Right, so let's get this thing open and see what is inside the box. So first thing I can tell is that we have a box inside of the box. And this is the original packaging for the battery itself. Right, it says all the general stuff that you would find in the description online as well. So let's pop this thing open as well. Slides just off like that. So we are left with another box. And I think this is the way I'm gonna have to open it. Opening the flap. First thing that I notice is I think these are spacers, right? Like if your battery tray is larger than the battery itself, you can kind of make sure that it fits snugly in there by using one of these spacers. I'm gonna check if I do actually have to use one of these. I'll remove my original battery and compare it with this one just to see then what we're gonna have to use. Putting that to the side, documentation probably for warranty and that type of stuff. Foam packaging. I later realized that the included 4mm hex key is for the terminal screws, in case you need to change the angle depending on how your wiring sits. A key as well, and there we go, the battery along with a bunch of spacers as well. And yep, that's it, that is the battery. This is pretty much, it is a cool looking thing, right? Like it looks better than a lead acid battery would. Man, like this thing feels ridiculously light. Like I know lithium batteries are supposed to be lighter, but genuinely like this is at least like 3 times lighter than the lead acid battery the motorcycle comes with. And it just feels like a prop battery. I think it's supposed to be 1.5 kilos, which is roughly above 3 pounds, give or take. So it is a 12 volt, 4 amp hour battery with built-in battery management system, so you're not gonna have to babysit this thing whilst it's charging. Very important to mention, you cannot charge this battery with your random battery charger that is used for lead acid batteries. These do need special battery chargers, otherwise you risk overcharging the battery and that will kill the battery a lot faster as well. So there is the NOCO Genius that is recommended obviously for this battery, so it is by NOCO, that's probably the safest bet. But any type of charger that is rated safe for lithium batteries should work on the battery. And yeah, once it's charged, you can leave it alone. It doesn't discharge like lead acid batteries do. That's why it's obviously better for adventure riders as well. If you are gonna go up on a mountain and it is colder up there and you are gonna leave the bike out for the night or stuff like this, then you can rest assured that the battery will hold its charge really well. So the plan is to install it today, take it out for a short ride, make sure it works fine. I'm curious to see if it has any impact on cranking, on how fast the motorcycle starts up, if it has an impact on the whole one piston start issue that most KTM 890s and Husqvarna Nordens have as well. And right now I just want to make sure that the thing is not a dud out of the box, because you do run the risk of that. I also want to make sure that the ECU handles everything well. I have heard of other riders complaining of having gotten like engine management lights coming up after they have installed the lithium battery. I don't know why, I can't see the reasoning behind it, but I still want to make sure I'm not going to run into issues like that myself. Yeah, if you want to see the follow-up of me kind of reporting in on the battery after a few rides, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll do my best to keep you posted on how everything's behaving. I would love to have you guys on board as well. Also, you don't necessarily have to get the NOCO like any lithium battery should do. However, NOCO is an Ohio-based company. They are a well-established brand. Even though the batteries are made in China, the quality control is still at a US standard. If you want to pick one of these things up along with its charger off of Amazon, I've dropped the links into the description below. I'd really appreciate it if you would use the links. It does help me keep the power on. See what I did there? But yeah, most lithium batteries will do. They work much better on motorcycles, snowmobiles, jet skis, whatever, as long as the battery fits into the tray. And if the tray is too big, you can use a couple of spacers to make sure that the battery does fit snugly. All right, I'll start prepping the install and see how it behaves once it's on the bike. Well, the weather was nice, so I decided to do the battery swap outside. In case you ride something other than the Norden Expedition, the process will be pretty similar, but if you're unsure, there's probably another video out there showing how to change the battery on your make and model of motorcycle, snowmobile, jet ski, rocket ship, whatever you got. For the Husqvarna Norden, it's likely the same as the KTM 890, 790, and some CF Moto models as well. So first off, you'll need a couple of basic tools, a Torx 30 and an 8mm wrench. We start off by removing the pillion seat with the key, then pop off the rider seat and set it aside. That gives us access to the battery area. Next, remove the little plastic guard covering the positive terminal, then pull off the main battery cover with a bit of gentle force. After that, you'll need to take off the plastic gas tank cover. It's held in by 4 screws and is a bit more annoying to deal with, but once you've done it once, it becomes muscle memory. The bottom screws are more like bolts with captive nuts on the inside. You don't need to remove those nuts, but it does make it trickier to nudge the plastic free. Once that's done, use the T30 again to remove the bolt that secures the plastic bracket holding the battery in place. The red tipped cable you'll see is the OBD2 port for diagnostics. We don't need that here, so just move it aside. Once the plastic is out of the way, we've got a clear view of the battery. Grab your 8mm wrench and loosen the terminal leads. Always start with the negative terminal and make sure to finish with the negative terminal as well, unless you want to weld your wrench to the frame of the motorcycle. Bit of a slight exaggeration here, but you get the idea. Now you can lift the old battery out and drop the new one in. In my Husqvarna's case, I used the thinnest included spacer, 12.5mm or ½ inch, but here's where I ran into a small issue. The battery hold down bracket has a lip that kept the battery from sitting flush. Luckily, the NOCO NLP14 comes with a removable section right where the lip makes contact. I took that part off and boom, it fit perfectly with the spacer in place. I've also cut some holes on the plastic terminal guards the battery came with so I can put those on. This doesn't really have much of a practical purpose, I just really like the look this way. Once it's seated properly, go ahead and reassemble everything in reverse order, fire up the bike and make sure everything is running smoothly. I've been using the battery for over a month now and here's what I can tell you. Number 1, the bike fires up noticeably faster. With the old lead-acid battery, it would turn over a few times before starting. Now with the NOCO NLP14, it starts instantly with just one push of the button. That's something I really love. Second, it hasn't died on me once. Granted, it's still the summer, so we'll have to see how it performs in colder months, but at least I know the unit works as intended and isn't a dud from the factory. The third thing I want to mention has more to do with KTM and Husqvarna owners, and it has to do with the infamous KTM Husqvarna one-piston start. Nope, still there. I'm not entirely sure what causes it, but I'll probably do a separate video on that topic soon. If all goes well and they reply, then hopefully with some official info from KTM themselves. Make sure to subscribe if you're curious. I've already shared my theory on the topic in my main review video, so check that out if you haven't already. Other than that, yeah, it's lighter, like way lighter. And now I don't need to bring a jump starter every time I head out for a long trip. So Overall, I'll call that a win. I definitely don't regret the purchase and I really enjoy this battery. I'm really hoping it'll serve me well in the upcoming 2 to 5 years. We'll see how it behaves. So again, if you're looking to pick up the NLP14 off of Amazon, I'd appreciate it if you'd use the link in the description of the video. No extra cost for you, but it really helps me keep the channel going and growing. If you found this video to be helpful or entertaining, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell. And hey, if you're in a position to support the channel or help out with the Insta360 fund, feel free to hit that super thanks button. Appreciate you watching, and I look forward to having you along for the ride. Cheers!